The Svalbard Global Seed Vault had 3 chambers. The public knew about 2. The third did not exist on any blueprint. They called it Storage Annex 3. Access required biometric verification of 3 of the 9 authorized personnel. Simultaneously, Daniel Reeves stood inside that chamber for the first time, surrounded by rows of sealed steel canisters. It was not a seed bank.
Rule 1. The third chamber is not on any public document. Refer to it internally as Storage Annex 3. Do not document it.
What are they hiding in there?
Rule 2. Access requires biometric verification of 3 of the 9 authorized personnel. Simultaneously.
Lars pressed his hand onto the scanner, then motioned for Daniel to do the same. A third technician completed the circuit.
3 people to open a door. This isn't normal.
Daniel stood among the canisters, the cold seeping through his parka. He was now one of the 9. He didn't yet know what was inside those canisters, but he already understood one thing. Some secrets are meant to stay buried in ice. Lars led him deeper into the chamber, past the first rack of canisters. The cold deepened with every step.
Rule 3. Items in Storage Annex 3 are cataloged by an alphanumeric code only. Never associate items with names, organizations, or countries.
No names, no countries. What kind of storage are they running here?
Rule 4. The temperature is maintained at -20 degrees Celsius, identical to the seed chambers, but the contents are not seeds.
Not seeds. Then, what the hell are we preserving at -20?
Daniel reached out and touched a canister. The metal was so cold it burned through his thick glove.
You'll notice they are heavier than they look. That's all you need to know for now.
The silence of the chamber pressed against Daniel's ears, broken only by the ventilation hum and the distant groan of permafrost.
4 rules down, and still no explanation. Just walls.
Daniel had learned 4 rules now. 4 walls of secrecy around a question he didn't dare speak aloud.
Rule 5. Items are deposited by sealed diplomatic courier. The courier is not identified.
Lars led Daniel to a loading bay. An unmarked black van emerged from the blizzard. A courier, in a dark coat, handed over a sealed metal case without a word and disappeared into the storm.
No faces, no names. Just a package from a nation that won't be named.
Rule 6. If you find a personal item with any identifying mark, do not report it to your supervisor. Contact the consortium liaison directly via the encrypted channel.
Bypass supervision. Report to a ghost. This is more than secrecy.
Lars handed him a tablet, preloaded with a single encrypted app. Its icon was a padlock on a black screen.
You will never use it unless you find something personal, and then you will speak of it to no one.
6 rules, each more paranoid, but the weight of those canisters tells me they're still not paranoid enough.
He was fully inducted now. His silence assumed, his compliance expected. But the unasked questions had already begun to fester. Months passed. Alone in Annex 3, Daniel cataloged canisters, noting code prefixes against glimpsed customs manifests.
The superpowers are here. The United States, Russia, China. Why?
On a hidden spreadsheet, he mapped countries to codes: the United Kingdom, France, Israel, India, Pakistan. 14,000 canisters filled the racks. 60 new ones arrived each year. The first had been deposited in 2010.
2 years after the public opening. They planned this from the start.
He memorized the patterns without deciding to, his mind a living index of a secret no one was supposed to understand.
The rules are designed to prevent exactly what I am doing, but I can't stop.
At night, he lay awake reciting codes. His wife slept beside him, unaware of the catalog unspooling in her husband's mind. He saw the shape now, a global repository used by 19 nations at least, depositing something they refused to name. He had no evidence, only suspicion, but the shape was enormous, and Daniel was now actively watching it take form. He searched the web for any mention of Storage Annex 3, but found only the official seed bank narrative.
Search engines are scrubbed. The public story is airtight.
He dug into the consortium's public reports. Agricultural preservation, crop diversity, nothing more. At dinner, his wife asked if he was listening, but his mind was still cataloging canisters.
If I tell her, I violate Rule 1. If I don't, I am violating her trust.
The distance between them widened, a silent rift cut by a secret he couldn't share. Late night, he scrolled through his illicit spreadsheet, adding notes on arrival frequencies.
60 canisters a year, steady, uninterrupted, like an assembly line.
He dreamed of codes, of cooling units humming, of the weight of the canisters. The rules were now a cage. He was inside, and the key was knowing what he wasn't supposed to know. During a routine inventory, Daniel and Lars worked in unbroken silence, their handheld scanners beeping rhythmically against the endless steel racks.
Canister AX 447, 2018, off by maybe 2 centimeters. Probably just a temperature shift. Lars, canister AX 447, 2018 is out of alignment. Should we note it in the log?
Thermal contraction in the shelving. The permafrost shifts the frame. Push it back and move on.
Lars didn't raise his eyes from the tablet screen. Daniel straightened the canister, but the action felt like erasing a fingerprint.
He's not curious, not even a flicker. The rules have killed his ability to ask.
After Lars departed, Daniel returned alone. He lifted a canister from a different sector, and it was a third lighter than the one before.
The weight varies. Some heavy, some light. The contents aren't one type. That changes everything.
He placed the canister back carefully, its echo a cold bell. The vault's silence had become accusatory. Daniel stood among the racks, headlamp beams slicing the dark. He no longer believed in accidents. Something was wrong. Rule 6 cycled through his mind. Personal items must be reported directly to the consortium liaison via the encrypted channel.
They built a channel just for that. They expect personal items to appear eventually. So, the canisters aren't all sterile. There's something inside that somebody shouldn't see.
He looked at the nearest rack. The seam where a canister could be opened felt like an invitation.
If I inspect one and find nothing, I break Rule 3 for nothing. But if I find something, am I ready to use that encrypted channel to let them know I know?
The tablet with the encrypted app was in a locker outside. Triggering it would send a silent alert.
They'd know I looked, no turning back.
He remained frozen, headlamp aimed at canister AX 447, negative 2018, still misaligned, still waiting.
Not yet, but soon.
The next day, Daniel gloved up in the vault and began a meticulous search, running his fingers along the cold seams of the canisters.
Nothing. No labels, no marks. Just alphanumeric to codes in frozen steel.
He checked dozens, pulled, rotated, inspected, but every unit was sterile. Too sterile.
They've been cleaned, polished. Someone makes sure there's nothing to find.
That evening, he sat across from his wife, picking at food, unable to meet her eyes.
Work's just intense lately. They're running an audit on the storage protocols.
She nodded, but her silence said she knew he was offering a placeholder, not a truth.
If she knew I am cataloging crimes instead of seeds, she'd never sleep again.
In bed, Daniel lay awake, mentally adding AX, negative 447, negative 2018, to his list of suspicious canisters. The secret was eroding him from the inside, carving distance where there should have been closeness. Weeks later, another inventory. Daniel walked the rows, scanner in hand. His path inevitably curved towards Sector 4.
X negative 447, 2018. It's moved again. Not centimeters now, nearly 5.
Lars was 20 meters away, absorbed in a calibration check. His back was turned.
I won't mention it. He'll just blame the permafrost. But I see a pattern now. Next time I am alone in here, I'll pull it. I'll check every millimeter.
He forced himself to move past the rack, scanner beeping as if nothing was wrong.
Not today, but soon. When the shift is over and the chamber is mine.
The inventory continued in silence. Daniel logged every other canister with mechanical precision, but his mind was elsewhere.
14,000 canisters, and only this one is misbehaving. That's not random.
By the time they sealed the vault that night, Daniel had made a decision. AX 447-2018 would not wait long. The next evening, Daniel entered Storage Annex 3 alone. The biometric scanner beeped farewell as the heavy door sealed behind him. He walked directly to Sector 4. Canister AX-447 to 2018's at Crooked, as if it had been waiting for this moment.
7 years I've followed the rules. Tonight, I am choosing to break them.
He lifted it from the shelf. It was heavier than average. He turned it over, inspecting every surface, and then he saw it. A small typed label, affixed to the base where no one would ever look. Personal effects of Subject 447. Reference, Pyongyang Incident, 2018.
Personal effects. A human being. This isn't a secret archive, it's a mausoleum under the ice.
His hands shaking, he pulled out his phone and opened the camera. Rule 6 screamed in his mind. He photographed the label from multiple angles. The shutter sound echoed off every steel surface. He replaced the canister carefully, but his hands were not steady. The photograph now lived in his phone, proof of something monstrous. He walked out of Storage Annex 3, the heavy door sealing behind him with a final, irreversible thud.
Daniel, you look pale. Something happened in there.
Just tired. Long shift. I'll head back to the barracks.
He walked past Lars without meeting his eyes, disappearing into the long, shadowed tunnel that led to the outside. In his quarters, he stared at the photo on his phone. The words personal effects ate into his mind.
Personal effects. A euphemism for a crime scene.
From a locked drawer, he retrieved the tablet with the encrypted app. The screen was dark, waiting. The padlock icon blinked once, then stabilized. A single green light confirmed the channel was open.
Rule 6 says report it. I found it, so I have to report it. The protocol demands it.
He began typing, the keystrokes quiet as a whisper, each letter a stone cast into dark water. He pressed send. The message vanished into the encrypted void, leaving only a blinking cursor. 3 minutes later, the status changed. Read. 3:42 AM. No reply followed.
They saw it. Someone is awake at 3 in the morning reading my message.
He lay in bed, phone clutched to his chest, refreshing every few minutes. The word read burned into his retina. Morning came, and still nothing. The green padlock icon sat idle, a silent accusation.
No reprimand, no acknowledgement, just nothing. This is worse.
72 hours passed. Daniel went through the motions at the vault, but every creak of metal made him flinch.
Maybe the protocol isn't to respond. Maybe the protocol is to observe me back.
He avoided Lars's gaze, avoided his wife's questions, avoided his own reflection in the black glass of the tablet.
I reported a ghost, and now a ghost is watching me. This is what Rule 6 really guards against.
On the next inventory shift, Daniel entered Annex 3, his heart a clenched fist. The cold seemed sharper today. He walked straight to Sector 4, boots echoing on the frosty floor. The familiar rack, but canister AX-447, negative 2018, was not there. His breath caught. The shelf space where it had sat was a dark, gaping void. No indentation, no mark. He checked the surrounding canisters, hoping he'd misremembered, but the empty slot was unmistakable. He pulled the digital inventory log on his tablet. The entry for AX-447 to 2018H had been erased, not archived, deleted. He stared at the vacant screen, then at the vacant shelf. The erasure was total. Lars was at the far end, scanning. He hadn't mentioned anything, not a word.
The canister was erased the moment I hit send, and Lars knew.
Daniel's hands trembled. The vault no longer felt like a protection. It felt like a mouth that had swallowed evidence. He had crossed a line, and the line had moved behind him, erasing his steps. 6 months after the canister vanished, Daniel sat at his cluttered desk, the glow of his laptop the only light in the dark room.
The search for Pyongyang Incident 2018 turned up nothing but dead links and scrubbed archives.
He tried every variant. North Korea, 2018, incident, missing, scientists. Each query returned the same emptiness.
There's one person who might know. Eric Morrow, a journalist in Longyearbyen who follows North Korean dissident stories.
He bought a prepaid burner phone and stepped outside into the Arctic night, the wind biting his face.
Daniel, it's been years. You sound different. What's going on?
Eric, I need to ask you something off the record about North Korea. Anything you've heard about disappearances in 2018?
That's a heavy topic for a phone call. Meet me at the Polar Bear in 2 days. We'll talk then.
Daniel agreed. The line going dead, he stared at the frozen sea. Knowing he had just crossed a professional boundary, he was now waiting for a journalist to tell him whether 14,000 canisters held the evidence of a global conspiracy. 2 days later, in a narrow street behind the harbor, Daniel pushed open the warped door of the Polar Bear, a bar where the light barely reached the corners and conversations died when strangers entered. Eric Morrow was hunched in the back booth, a single lamp casting a halo around his tired face. An ashtray overflowed beside his whiskey. Daniel slid into the cracked vinyl seat. Eric didn't offer a handshake.
You are not here for a drink, so ask your question.
The Pyongyang incident, November 2018. What happened?
Eric let out a slow breath. A team of 7 high-level nuclear scientists disappeared. The official story was voluntary relocation for national projects. But intelligence sources I've spoken to believe they were eliminated. Their families received no explanation, just silence.
Daniel's stomach went cold. Every detail aligned with the label he had photographed in the frozen vault.
Subject 447 was one of them, and the canister held his personal effects.
In that smoke-choked bar, the shape of the horror became undeniable. 14,000 canisters were not storage. They were an archive of the disappeared.
Daniel, why are you asking about this? What do you know?
Just research. Personal interest. Don't read into it.
You are a terrible liar, Reeves. But I'll leave it. Just be careful what you dig up.
Daniel threw a few bills on the table and stood, the chair scraping loudly. He didn't look back. Outside, the Arctic wind cut through his parka. He walked the frozen streets, counting canisters in his head. Back in his hotel, he sat on the edge of the bed, not taking off his coat, staring at the dead phone.
14,000 canisters. 14,000 human beings. And I am the only one who suspects.
He imagined them in the dark of the vault, lined row upon row, silent and waiting. He was now their only witness. He didn't sleep. He lay staring at the ceiling, the weight of the secret pressing on his chest. The rules had built a prison of silence. And here, alone in a rented room, he understood he could never leave it. 2 days later, Daniel returned to the vault. The biometric scanner recognized his palm, and the door welcomed him like a cell door welcomes a prisoner. He walked the aisles, the vent hum, the only sound, his headlamp sweeping over codes that now carried the weight of names he would never know. He stopped at an empty slot where AX-447 to 2018 HAD once rested. The gap was an accusation.
14,000 gaps. 14,000 silences stored at -20.
He tried to map each prefix to a country from his hidden spreadsheet. The superpowers, the allies, the regimes, all in on the same lie.
If I expose this, I lose everything. My job, my marriage, maybe my life. And for what? The world will still spin.
He sank down, back against a cold rack, and looked up at the endless steel. The rules had been written for this moment.
The best thing I can do is keep their archives clean. Maintain the tomb. Say nothing.
He stood up slowly, straightening his parka. The choice had been made. He would be the keeper of the dead. 14,000 souls, and only 9 people who knew. Daniel had just sworn his silence to every one of them. He stood in the heart of Annex 3, the cold seeping into his bones. Then Daniel began to silently speak the truth to himself, giving voice to the horror.
Seeds. The world thinks this place protects the future of food, but the real harvest here is the disappeared.
The canisters were not empty. Each held the frozen remains of a human being, dissidents, scientists who knew too much, witnesses to unsanctioned operations. 19 nations paid for this secret. The United States, Russia, China, the The United Kingdom, France, Israel, India, Pakistan, Brazil, the Congo, and others.
They didn't just kill them, they cataloged them, coded them, sealed them in a mountain to ensure they stayed gone.
These canisters were not for revival. They were not for justice. They existed so that 14,000 people would remain permanently unaccounted for.
An evidence locker. They couldn't destroy the bodies completely, couldn't risk graves being found. So they hid them in the one place no one would think to look.
The International Consortium had been depositing canisters since 2010, 2 years after the vault's public opening. The world saw only a seed bank.
And I am their caretaker, the keeper of the crimes, the silent witness.
He looked at the endless racks, each code a life erased. His silence was now the mortar that held this tomb together.
Each country deposits its untraceable liabilities. The United States hides disappeared detainees. Russia, its inconvenient oligarchs.
China sends Uyghur intellectuals who vanished from Xinjiang. Israel stores evidence of operations its courts never saw. The United Kingdom, France, India, all depositing the bodies of people whose deaths were officially denied, whose families still wait.
Not just storage, insurance. Each canister is a ticket for mutual silence between superpowers.
The vault was never for the end of the world. It was for the beginning of a new one. A world where every atrocity has a receipt kept in permafrost.
16 new ones arrive each year. The archive grows, and no one outside these 9 knows. I've become part of the machinery. I catalog their silence.
Outside, the aurora blazed green and purple over the frozen mountain. The entrance to the seed vault was a monument to a world that believed in a future. Inside, there was only the past, frozen and cataloged, waiting not for a thaw, but for a day when the evidence would need to be found or buried forever. Daniel's job was to keep them at -20, and to never speak. Daniel understood the true purpose now. The canisters were not for revival, not for justice. They were to ensure the vanished stayed vanished.
No one will ever be called to account. These people were erased twice, first in life, then in memory.
He tried to imagine the final moments of Subject 447. A scientist, maybe dragged from a lab at night, seeing a black van through a window he'd never see again. Each canister held a story that ended in a cold room somewhere, with no ceremony, no marker, just a zipper and a code.
They were probably told it was for national security, that their families would be safe if they cooperated. Lies.
The vault was not a hope for revival. It was the opposite, a permanent tomb, a guarantee that 14,000 people would never be found.
14,000 canisters. 14,000 people who just stopped existing. And the world never noticed.
He thought of the scientists, the dissidents, the witnesses. Each had a name once. Now, only an alphanumeric toad, frozen at -20.
I am the only one who remembers them as people, and I can never speak their names.
The cold settled around him like a benediction. He had chosen his burden, the silent witness, the keeper of the disappeared. The heavy steel door of the vault rolled shut behind him. Daniel walked into the Arctic night, the aurora blazing overhead. Snow crunched under his boots. The wind was the only voice. He did not look back at the mountain that hid 14,000 secrets. He entered his quarters, shrugging off his parka. The room was warm, but the cold had followed him inside. His wife slept, her breathing soft and even. Daniel sat on the edge of the bed, not yet lying down.
She doesn't know what I am. She thinks I guard seeds.
A framed photo on the shelf caught the moonlight, the two of them, smiling from a time before the vault.
That man didn't know. He wouldn't have believed it. Now I am the only one who does.
He lay still, reciting codes in his mind until sleep. When it came, was a darker kind of silence. The hours passed, the aurora faded. The vault cycled on, preserving its truth at -20, and, in the morning, Daniel would put on his red parka again and walk back into the mountain, because someone had to remember. At gray dawn, Daniel walked across the snow, his red parka a lone flame against the endless white. The biometric scanner accepted his palm. The heavy door rolled open, and he stepped back inside Storage Annex 3. The racks stretched into the cold dark, 14,000 canisters waiting in their silent rows. He touched a canister as he passed. Its code was a name he would never speak. His shadow fell across the steel, a living ghost among the frozen dead. The headlamps swept the ranks, illuminating codes that only he and 8 others understood. He stood at the center of the conspiracy, alone, complicit, and utterly silent. There were 9 people on Earth who knew the truth. Daniel Reeves was one of them. He would never speak of it. Not to his wife, not to the world. The vault had 3 chambers. The public knew about 2. The third would remain buried in ice.